So Xander and Kasha are on the steps talking, and Xander is telling Kasha that the tablets don't work on him. And then he's talking about how he figured it out.
Wait, how did you figure it out?
He's just starting to talk about that right now. It's not a memory I'm proud of, Xander tells me. I asked him to come swimming with me one day, and then on the way I told him I knew about his artifact. I knew about it because once, one burrow over, I was coming back from taking something to a friend, and I caught Kai trying to find his way home. He was so careful. I think it was the one time he ever got it out, but he had bad timing. I saw him. This image almost breaks my heart. It's another side of Kai I hadn't seen before. Lost, taking risks. As well as I know him, as much as I love him, there are still parts of him I don't know. It's that way with everyone, even Xander, who I never could have pictured being so cruel. I dared him to find and steal 2 red tablets. I thought it would be impossible. I said that if he didn't bring them to swimming the next day to prove he could, I'd tell everyone about the compass, the artifact, and get Patrick in trouble. What did he do? You know Kai, he couldn't risk his uncle. Then Xander starts to laugh. Shocked, I ball my fists up in anger. Does he think this is funny? What in this story could there possibly be to laugh at? So Kai got the tablets, and guess who he stole them from, Xander says, still laughing. Just guess. I don't know, tell me. My parents, Xander said. He stops laughing. Of course, it wasn't funny at the time. That night, my parents were upset because their red tablets were missing. I knew right away what had happened, but of course I couldn't say anything. I couldn't tell them about the dare. Xander looks down, and I notice that he has a large brown paper envelope in his hand. It makes me think of Kai's story. I'm hearing another part of it now. It was a big mess. Officials came and everything. I don't know if you remember that. I shake my head. I don't. They checked to make sure we hadn't taken the tablets, and they could tell somehow that we hadn't, and that my parents were pretty convincing, saying they didn't know what happened. They were completely panicked. Finally, the officials decided that my parents must have lost the tablets when they were swimming earlier in the week, and that they'd been negligent not to notice it sooner. They'd never caused any trouble before, so they got off without an infraction, just a citation. Kai did that? Took the tablets from your parents? He did. Xander takes a deep breath. I went to his house the next day, ready to tear him apart. He stood on the front steps waiting for me. When I got there, he held out the 2 red tablets, right for everyone to see. Of course, I was so scared I grabbed them out of his hand and asked him what he was trying to do. That's when he told me that you don't play with other people's lives. Xander seems ashamed, remembering. And then he told me that we could start over if I wanted. All we had to do was take the red tablets, one for each of us. He promised me we wouldn't get hurt. That's cruel of him, too, I say in shock. But to my surprise, Xander disagrees with me. He knew the tablets didn't work on him. I don't know how, but he did. He thought they would work on me. He thought I wouldn't remember how horrible I'd been and that I'd be able to start clean. How many other people do you think are walking around out there pretending that their tablets worked when they didn't? I ask, wondering. As many as want to stay out of trouble, Xander says. He glances at me. Apparently they don't work on you either. It's not exactly like that, I say, but I don't want to tell him the whole story. He already carries enough of my secrets. Xander studies me for a moment, but then when I don't say more, he speaks again. While we're talking about tablets, he says, I have a gift for you, a farewell gift. He hands me the envelope and whispers, don't open it now, but I put some things in there to remind you of the burrow, but the real gift is a bunch of blue tablets, in case you have to go on another long journey or something. He knows I'm going to try to find Kai, and he's helping me. In spite of everything, Xander hasn't betrayed me. And I realized, too, that I never wondered as I ran down the street after Kai if it was Xander who had set those events in motion. I knew he hadn't. He kept faith with me. It's the prisoner's dilemma, this dangerous game that I must play with Kai and again with Xander. But what I know, and the official doesn't, is that all of us will do our best to keep each other safe. Oh, Xander, how did you get these? They keep extra supplies in the pharmacy at the medical center, Xander says. These were slated for disposal. They're about to expire, but I think they'll still work for a few months past expiration. The officials will still miss them. He shrugs. They will. I'll be careful, and you should be too. I'm sorry I couldn't bring you real food. I can't believe you're doing all this for me, I say to Xander. He swallows hard. not just for you, for all of us. It all makes sense now. If we could change things in time, maybe we could all choose. Thank you, Xander, I say. I think about how I might have a chance to find Kai thanks to Kai's compass and Xander's tablets. And I realize that in so many ways, Xander is the one who made it possible for me to love Kai. Kai thought you might be able to help me learn how to use the artifact, I tell him. Now I know why. Did you recognize it that day when I gave it to you? I thought I did, but it had been a long time and I kept my promise. I didn't open it. But you know how to use it. I figured out the basic principles of what it was after I'd seen it. I used to ask him questions about it once in a while. It might help me find him. Even if I could show you, why would I? And Xander can't cover it anymore. Bitterness and anger mingle with the pain. So you can go off and be happy with him? Where does that leave me? What does that leave me? Don't say that, I tell him. You gave me the blue tablet so I could find him, right? If I'm gone and we can change things, maybe you can choose someone too. I did, he says, looking at me. I don't know what to say. So I have to wish for the end of the world as I know it, Xander asks, another hint of his old laugh in his voice. Not the end of the world, for the beginning of a better one, I say. And I'm frightened too. Is this what we really want to wish for? One where we can get Kai back. Kai, Xander says, and there's sadness in his voice. Sometimes it seems like everything I've done has been to help you be ready for someone else. I don't know what to say, how to tell him that he's wrong, how I was wrong moments ago when I thought the same thing. Because yes, Xander has helped Kai and me time and time again. But how can I explain to Xander that he is a reason for wanting a new world too? That he's important, that I love him? I can teach you, Xander says finally. I'll send you some instructions and a message over the port. But anyone can read those. I'll make it look like a love letter. We are still matched after all, and we're good at pretending. Then he whispers, Kasha, if we could choose, would you ever have chosen me?
Oh, sad.
I'm surprised he has to ask. And then I realize that he doesn't know that at one point I did choose him. When I first saw his face on the screen and then Kai's over it, I wanted safe and known and expected. I wanted good and kind and handsome. I wanted Xander. Of course, I say. We both look at each other and start to laugh. Then we can't stop. We're laughing so hard that tears roll down our faces and Xander pulls away from me, leaning over and gasping for air. We could still end up together, he says, after all this. We could, I agree. Then why do any of it? I'm serious now. All this time it's taken me to understand what Grandfather meant, why he didn't want to have the sample stored, why he didn't want a chance to live forever and on someone else's terms. Because it's about making our own choices, I tell him. That's the point, isn't it? This is bigger than us now. He looks up. I know. Maybe for Xander it's always been bigger than us, since he's seen more, known more for years, as Kai has. How many times? I whisper to Xander. He shakes his head, confused. How many times have the rest of us taken the tablet and we can't remember? I ask. Once that I know of, Xander says. They don't use it much on citizens. I was sure they'd make us take it after the Markham son died, but they didn't. But one day, I'm pretty sure everyone in the borough took it. Did I? I'm not positive, he says. I didn't actually see you do it. I don't know. What happened? I ask. Xander shakes his head. I'm not going to say, he whispers. I don't press him further. I haven't told him everything about the kiss on the hill, the poem, and I cannot ask him to do what I have not. This is a difficult balance. Telling the truth, how much to share, how much to keep, which truths will wound but not ruin, which will cut too deep to heal. So I gesture to the envelope instead. What did you put in here, besides the tablets? He shrugs. Not much. I was mostly trying to hide the tablets. A couple of new rose blooms like the ones we planted. They won't last long. I printed a copy of one of the 100 paintings from the port. That picture you did a report on a long time ago? That won't last long either. He's right. The paper from the ports always deteriorates quickly. Xander looks at me, sad. You'll have to use it all in the next couple of months. Thank you, I tell him. I didn't get anything for you. Everything happened so fast this morning. I fall silent again, because I used what time I did have for Kai. I chose him again over Xander. It's all right, he says, but maybe you could. He looks into my eyes, deep, and I know what he wants. A kiss. Even though he knows about Kai, Xander and I are still connected. This is still goodbye. I know already that that kiss would be sweet. It would be what he would hold on to as I hold on to Kai's, but that's something I can't give. Xander, it's all right, he says, and then he stands up. I do too, and he reaches for me, pulls me close. Xander's arms are as warm and safe and good around me as they always have been. We both hold on tight. Then he lets go and walks down the path without another word. He doesn't look back, but I watch him go. I watch him all the way home. The journey to our new home is fairly straightforward. Ride the air train to the city center, change to a long-distance air train to the farmlands of Kea province. Most of our belongings fit into one small case each. The few things that don't will be sent later. As the four of us walk to the air train stop, neighbors and friends come out to say goodbye and wish us well. They know we're being relocated, but they don't know why, and it isn't considered polite to ask. As we come to the end of the street, we see that a new sign has been hammered into the place, Garden Burrow. Without the trees and without the name, Maple Tree Burrow is gone. It's as though it never existed. The Markhams are gone. We are gone. Everyone else will live on here in Garden Burrow. They've already added extra new roses to all the flower beds. The quickness with which Kai disappeared, with which the Markhams disappeared, with which we will disappear, makes me cold. It is as if we never happened. And I suddenly remember a time back when I was small, when I used to look for the air train home to Stony Burrow, and we had paths made of low flat stones that led to our doors. This happened before. This burrow keeps changing names. What other bad things lie beneath the surface of our burrow? What have we buried under our rocks and trees and flowers and houses? That time Xander won't talk about when we all took the red tablet? What happened? When other people left, where did they really go? They could not write their names, but I can write mine, and I will again, somewhere where it will last for a long, long time. I will find Kai, and then I will find that place.